Hello, my remarkable Algebra 1 students. Let's have another summer adventure together. Today, we will factor trinomials in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. First, what we're going to do is factor a trinomial in this form where the a is equal to a 1. See right here, the a is equal to 1. We're going to find two numbers whose product, which means multiplying, is going to be equal to the c. So here's the first number times the second number equals to c. And we're going to find two numbers whose sum is equal to the coefficient of the x term, which is the b. So we're going to take the first number and the second number, I'm going to add them to get the b. And then we're going to have a binomial. We're going to have the quantity x plus one number times the quantity x plus the second number. So that's what we're doing when the a is a 1. So let's look at an example. Here, we're going to factor completely x squared plus 3x minus 10. See, it's in this quadratic form, the ax squared plus bx plus c. We identify the a1, the b3, and the c negative 10. Through trial and error, we found two factors of the c, which is negative 10, but they have to add up to give us the positive 3. So we have 5 and the negative 2. And then you see, we will just put into our parentheses the x plus the 5 times the quantity x minus 2. Now, I gave you these two numbers right away, but if we looked at the trial and error, you see we would have like 1 times negative 10 is negative 10, but the sum is negative 9. This sum is a positive 9. This sum is a negative 3. And this sum is the one we want because we want the sum to be a positive 3. So that's how you get what trial and error. And after trial and error, I want you to go back and check it. You want to check to see if this answer is correct. So we're going to FOIL using our first, outer, inner, last. And when we FOIL, you see we get the original problem. Let me move this down so you can see it. So when we FOIL, we get the original problem, which is the x squared plus the 3x minus the 10. Let's do another example. So here we're going to have the x squared minus the 5x plus 6. We identify the a, the b, the c. Trial and error. We want two factors of 6 that add up to give us a negative 5. And you see it's negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. But when they add them up, we get the b, which is a negative 5. So then we simply come down here. We have our two parentheses, and we put the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x minus 3. And once we do that, we can check this problem using our FOIL. Check this using our FOIL. The first, the outer, the inner, the last terms. And when we add, you see we get the original problem, which is what we were looking for. Let's do a third example. Here I start off with 2x squared plus 2 minus 12. Well, this a is not a 1, but I will observe that all three terms have a 2 in common, so if I factor it out, I have this trinomial left inside the parentheses, and there is understood to be a 1 right there. So I bring down the 2, and I want to factor this trinomial that is inside. So here I'm looking at that trinomial that's inside. Identify the a, the b, the c. Through trial and error, I want two factors of a negative 6 that add up to give me a positive 1. And here I've written out several examples, several factors and several sums, and you see the one that works is negative 2 times 3 is equal to negative 6. When I add these two, I get the 1, which is what I want. So I go to my problem and go back to the original problem. Let me move this down so you can see it. So here I factored out the 2, then I factored the two factor the trinomial. I have my two binomials, which is my answer. And then I would like to go back and check this. I'm going to FOIL first, first, outer, inner, last. Do what's in FOIL, and I have this trinomial. Then I'm going to multiply by 2, and you see I get the original problem that I started with. Now, we're going to look at trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where the a does not equal 1. And we're going to use a method that is called the X box method. We're going to have an ax squared plus bx plus c. We're going to first of all have an x. And in this x, this part of the x, we're going to put the product a times c. See, a times c. And this part of the x, we're going to put the b. Here, to the left and to the right, we're going to have two factors of AC that add up to give us the B. So we have two factors that are the product of A times C but add up to give us the B. So here you see two factors that multiply to give us the AC but add up to give us the B. Here's the box, and in the box, in the upper left-hand corner here, we're going to put the AX squared, and in the lower right-hand corner, we're going to put the C. Let's look at an example. We're going to factor completely. Here's our problem, 3x squared minus 10x plus 7. Here's our quadratic form. We identify the a, the b, and the c. So here again is the problem. Identify the a, b, and the c again. So what I did first, I put my terms inside of the x. So you remember in this part of the x, we put the a times c. So it's going to be 3 times 7, which is 21. This part of the x, we put the b, which is what? The negative 10. Then the AC, we want two factors of the AC, which is 21. But we want the factors to add up to a negative 10. So this will be a negative 3 plus a negative 7 is negative 10. Negative 3 times a negative 7 is a positive 21. Then in our box, remember in our box, we're going to put, let's go back and look at this. In our box in the upper left-hand corner right here, we're going to have the ax squared. In the lower right-hand, we have the c. So here is the ax squared, the 3x squared, and here is the c. I'm going to put it here. And then the two numbers that add up to give us the b, which is the negative 10, is the negative 3 and the negative 7. Now I said times x because we want these terms to add up to give us a negative 10x. A negative 10x. So here I put the terms in my box again here. Rows go from left to right. So I'm going to look at the first row. I want to factor out the greatest common factor from the first row, which is x. And then I'm going to look at the first column. Columns go up and down. I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor from the terms in the first column, and it's 3x. So what's going to happen is going to be 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times what gives me a negative 3x? So if I look down here, I said 3x times what gives me a negative 3x? And if I divide each side by this 3x, so you see the 3x's what cancel out. And over here, we're just left with what? A negative 1, because these will what? Cancel out. Then I come back and I said that x times 3x is 3x squared. But x times what gives me a negative 7x? So here I said x times what gives me a negative 7x. I divide each side by x, so these cancel out, and I am left with a negative 7. So I'm going to put these in the places of the question marks. So when I put them in the place of the question marks, you see I'm going to have an x minus 1 here. I'm going to have a 3x minus 7 here. And at the top, we have a binomial. On the side, we have the binomial. So this is our answer. And once we do this answer, we have to check this answer. When we check this, using our FOIL method, we will have the first, outer, inner, last terms, and it checks. So this was an example of the X box method, where again, we have, in the X, we have the product of the AC.